Teachers. That's great. I'm sure it's going to excellent. So thank you so much. You may have all seen me. I'm Safin from 1M1B. And joining me today is Rima, who is one of our senior trainers and mentors for many of our programs. And she is somebody who has done a lot of work in terms of content, curriculum for sustainability for schools as well as colleges, a number of lesson plans, curriculum that we made as well. So quickly, I thought I'll take a first few minutes in the beginning just to set context of why you're doing this, right? I'm sure all of you are aware, you're watching the news, a lot of talk about sustainability of green skills, green jobs, green economy, right? India's big vision is, as shared by Honorable Prime Minister, to become a leading force in the green economy. A lot of opportunities coming up with EVs, with different energy sources, a lot of action on the SDGs being taken. Climate action is a big element of SDGs, right? SDG 13. And Mission Life that was launched by our Prime Minister a couple of years back specifically, right? All these are towards that green economy, and no questions about it, right? Because thanks to all the work that humans have done over the last so many years, decades, and centuries, all of us are bearing the brunt of it now. I'm sitting in Bangalore, and you must have all been seeing the reels and the videos of it just pours for 2 3 hours every day, and roads are clogged. Similarly, a couple of months back in Wayanad, a good tourist destination, and completely in the news for the wrong reasons, right? Many of these hill stations are bearing the brunt. So, along with the skills and the green jobs we're talking about, taking action is very important. And you may be a tech teacher, you may be a social science, you may be a science teacher, language teacher, doesn't matter, but it's important that we look at, one is understanding what does sustainability mean, right? What are the different elements of it? And two is, how can you introduce this in some form to your students, maybe as part of a subject, maybe as part of a club. There are sustainability clubs that one would be setting up in about 100 schools with a lot of activities. If you're from any of those schools, you will be aware of that. I think we also did a orientation just now that just ended 10 minutes back. And along with that, number of things happening. And I think even sustainability as such as a subject is being introduced next year as, sorry, yeah, as part of subjects in many of the schools. And we are also working with, this is something under wraps but just sharing, we are also working on a curriculum on sustainability specifically that CBSE could also introduce. So the idea of this whole boot camp is that, one is, we have been talking about AI and stuff, let's do something different, right? I'm not sure if there are a lot of sessions or boot camps on sustainability happening. We thought, let's do this, let's bring our teacher community together. Let's do a quick boot camp of 4 days, before and after Diwali, 2 days, today and tomorrow, and then post Diwali, where it's not just understanding sustainability, but also helping you look at how to introduce this in your classrooms. So Rema has put together a very interesting curriculum where you will be taken through, you're going to be her students for the next couple of days, and she's going to take you through, understanding sustainability, different activities you'll be doing virtually. There will be some home assignments for you as well. And at the end of the 4 sessions and a capstone project or an assignment that you have, we also want to ensure that we give out a certificate saying you've been part of the sustainability bootcamp, and you're a teacher who can go ahead and take sustainability further to the students. So that's the overall idea of the bootcamp. We will touch upon general sustainability plus introducing tech like AI and blockchain and how it helps in different elements of sustainability, like, around plastic, around waste, e-waste. Plus, on the last day, we'll also look at what are the careers in green skills and green economy that is coming up, right? What are these green skills? Plus, in terms of how can you help students come with projects around sustainability, around the green sector, but introducing technology as well. So these are different things that we look at. And once again, welcome and thank you so much for joining us. Hope you're going to enjoy this. Um, Let me see, how many do we have? Yeah, around about 70 teachers. I hope all of you join for the 4 days. That is important because it's not just about joining for one day, understanding and leaving, right? It's going to be an interesting learning curve for you. Hope you utilize this well, and hope you can be our sustainability champions who take this further to other schools, to other teachers, to other students, right? And drive the sustainability movement that India is doing and be the champions. And of course, since you've been part of the program, we will have a couple of interesting events that come up. We'll be inviting you, we'll give you opportunities where your students can participate. You can come up with different things. What we are going to do is in fact, not today, but tomorrow and maybe after third and fourth sessions, we'll give you a form in terms of like an assignment, which along with the feedback you can submit. And I would request everyone that take these assignments a little seriously. Nothing difficult. These are fun things, a little bit of research required, a little bit of hands-on required. You can do and submit, right? So it's as I don't need to tell you this, but as teachers, you know that only if the students do that assignment, do they understand it properly and understand the fun of learning this, right? So that's the whole idea. That's how we've curated this whole boot camp. Once again, thank you for joining us, and please share this with other colleagues, other teachers that, if you're part of other teacher groups, share it there. They don't have to RSVP, they can directly join in using the link. And it'll be great, if you have more people there being part of the session. So thank you so much. And with that, I want to hand it off to Rema, who's going to be your lead teacher, lead trainer, mentor for the next couple of days. So Rema, over to you.
Thank you, Safin. Well, good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to be here. I can't tell you how excited I am to actually do this because, as Safin was saying, it was always about working behind the scenes, like working on a curriculum that I'm passionate about. And I'm pretty sure everybody, a lot people here are passionate about. But it's nice to actually be there in the front and talk about what you're passionate about, right? And yes, I am going to talk about all things sustainability, tech, and education. But before I actually get into the main or the serious stuff, I wanted to share that it'll be nice if any of you can give me company to turn your videos on. I understand the weekday is done and it's probably raining wherever you are. Not sure what the situation is or where you're checking in from. But if anyone could just turn your videos on and give me some company, otherwise it's just going to be awkward seeing your names. Just a request. But yeah, that'd be nice. You can also get your coffee or whatever it is and join the session. Take notes if you want to. Feel free. Have your evening snacks. That's completely okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bazi and uh, Shankamalam from Batinda. While I'm about to share the screen, I wanted to see where everyone's joining from. So can we have a quick check-in in the chat? I see some of you have already said good evening and all of that. But here's what I want you to do as you check in. Why don't you type your name, your city, your state, and a small catch. I just want you to, since we're talking about sustainability and education, I just want you to also add in an emoticon or a smiley that best represents what sustainability means to you. Like it can be a plant or it could be anything, right? Yeah, so I know everyone's excited to share their names and where you're from, but don't forget to also share a smiley of what sustainability means to your best represents. Okay, I see Miss Rehmat from Hyderabad using one. Okay, she's following the rules, so that's good. Yeah, Firozabad, Hyderabad. Okay, Safin's to the point. Uh, he has an emoticon ready because he introduced himself, right? Anyway. Okay, Ms. Renu Sharma, thanks. That's a perfect one. From Delhi, Akshita from Telangana. Interesting. Okay, good. What I think we have about 70 plus, right? Yeah. Let's see where everyone's joining from. I'm pretty sure not just me, but all of you also would like to know. Yes. Okay. So while that's coming in, so see, I see that some of you are not following rules. As teachers, I need to see that smiley or the emoticon. Yeah, right. Okay, good. Yeah, keep it coming. It's nice to take a note and see because we might also be using examples of where you are from. I could ask you some questions, and it'll be nice to share your own perspective or experience from where you live, right? Because yeah. All right. So while that's coming in the interest of time, so that we're making sure that we give you the best in the allotted time, let me move ahead. So, welcome everyone to the Sustainability Boot Camp. I really like how we've named our sessions, calling it a boot camp. Boot camps are not supposed to be easy, but they're supposed to be very foundational and important. So, which is why we're here. Having said that, you all would have heard about the term sustainability at some point, and even if you haven't, or just cannot understand what's behind it, that's why I'm here to help you. Like I was just saying, boot camps are very basic but very foundational and important, and that is all you will see in the next 4 sessions, starting from today. So with that, I officially welcome you to the session. And you're also sharing where you're from, so continue to do that. While you're at it, my name's Rima again, and my name's Rima Joseph. I Yes, I am very passionate about sustainability, climate, and education. It started from education. I was not here. If you asked me a few years back, I would just know the definition of sustainability and maybe a concept that everybody should be adopting, but I did not know the ABCs of it. Eventually, my journey has been here where today I'm in a place where I'm actually going to teach you or tell you about what sustainability is. So, tomorrow, we also want to see where you will be teachers and educators going out in your school or your institutions or your families telling about sustainability and actually living it as teachers so that we need to be exemplary, right? So, that's a little about how my journey started towards this space, but I've been associated with 1M1B for the last 5 years and counting. Safin and Swati and others are here as my friends and colleagues. And just a quick guess, where do you think I am from? Which city or state do you think I am from? Because I've noticed that a lot of you have joined from all over India, which is great. Okay, someone says Mumbai, Bangalore. I hope there's no accent that's giving out. Okay, no. I'll stop when, okay, Hyderabad is close. Okay, I know this could be a little confusing. So right now I'm in the US, just in case, but back at home in India, where do you think I'm from? Which I will be going back anyway. Must be from the south. It must be my accent. Okay, no right guesses, I'll see. But yeah, I'm from Andhra Pradesh and precisely from Visakhapatnam. So any homies out there, hello. But great to see everyone from all states. So quickly, just a reminder and a question: who are you today? Right? I know all of you are teachers, no brainers there. But I want a correct answer. In a way, if you see, you being teachers is actually a wrong answer. I love it. Ambassadors for sustainability. I think I can't find a better label for all of you. Uh, but yeah, so yeah, someone said educators. It's still a wrong answer, unfortunately. The correct answer for today is your students, right? You're not teachers, you're not educators. Yes, in a way, you're learners, but I want you all to identify yourselves for the next 1 hour to 90 minutes as students constantly. So just let go of that teacher role and be that student, uh, right? So that what I mean by that is I want you to be here to learn, to ask questions if necessary. Yes, we have a Q&A in the end based on how much time we have left, so that there's not we're not disturbing the flow, but it is okay if there's a significant question that you would like to know that's relevant to the topic being discussed. Interact and participate. I like the energy in the chat, but continue to do that even between if there's a question asked, right? And we're seeing how we can actually do this, but we planned a group discussion in between. So we'll see how that goes, considering this is day one and how you would like to participate and share your thoughts. So having said that, let's all remember that we're students and we're here to learn, right? And the final rule about being a student is just like how you all expect your students to be, is to stay committed. And as Safin was mentioning in the first session, please join all the 4 days, all the 4 sessions. There has been effort going behind the scenes to put this together, and we're trying to introduce some new concepts and new ways of how you could learn all these topics. So stay committed to the rest of the 4 days. Invite others who haven't joined yet, right? All right. So, with that context, let me move on to what we have today and the rest of the 4 days. Uh, we have the introduction to sustainability and its role in education. Then we're talking about sustainable technology in classrooms, and then it's just going to escalate further. I don't know if I should be showing so much because, again, oh, this is something I know, this is something I don't know. It might help you decide. So I'll just quickly jump from it. But this is a glimpse basically of what we're having. I don't want to talk much about each thing, but I'd rather want you to join for that respective day and learn about it. But today it's about all things sustainability, its foundations, and how can we actually adopt that concept in the field of education, right? So today and tomorrow, and then we have the sessions 5th and 7th of November. So as you would have seen in the flyer or the mails that you've received or the communications, we're talking about the fundamentals. We have some good innovative teaching methods to inspire that you could later take it forward with your communities and schools, right? And some sustainability projects that can be introduced in your curriculum as well. And the best thing about this is we just don't leave you with some educational information, but rather with resources that you could actually work on and help your student community to also learn, right? So that's what we're also looking at, where you have a lot of things to take away from the session, and some hands-on activities like group discussions for things, some activities or things that you could just try even during the session. And we're seeing how that goes. Ideally, before I begin, I wanted all of you to have, as students, have some a pen and a notebook with you. If you have, well and good, we're going to do a tiny activity in between. If you don't, it'll be good to grab it because you'll only enjoy the session when you're participating and listening, right? So let's begin. So I think that was enough intro about what we're doing and what you would be expecting. So let's dive deeper into the topic for today, sustainability and its role in education. And before that, just to understand your knowledge, I know this might not completely define your knowledge, but I have a small quiz to make it interesting and also just see your sense of understanding in some basics, right? So I don't know if you would enjoy quiz as students, but I always did because I will not use the term teachers here. I will use students only. So here's the first question as a quiz, and I will tell you what the right answer is. Uh, what is the term carbon footprint refer to? Right? I have the options. You can just type A, B, or C. Let's see who has that. You can just type the option A or B or C, so it's easier. Okay. I don't think I should waste any time further. Yes, it is B, the amount of carbon emissions caused by an individual organization or an event. Yes, there's a lot of study that goes behind how much carbon footprint is, there out there from each and every person, an institution, or any unit that's out there on this earth, right? It's pretty interesting, but also quite disturbing as well. Second one, what is the main objective of the UN Sustainable Development Goal? A and or B or C. Inclusivity, affordable energy, or achieve gender equality. Energy. Oh, I see some answers that are saying it's C. But I see, for example, Lakshmi P. Nair was saying that it's B, and even Abhishank and Vani are also saying that it's B. And yes, the right answer is actually ensure inclusive and equitable quality education. So SDG 4, there are actually 17 SDGs, which I also wanted to ask, but I'll move on because of the time. But SDG 4 is quality education, and it caters to inclusive and an equitable quality education all over the world, in fact, right? So third one. Now this can get a little technical. What does LED stand for in the context of sustainable buildings? You can, if there's no much knowledge about this, you can go with a guess based on what the acronym stands for. Okay, C, A, B. I see all of them. I see all the three alphabets in the options. Okay, so the right answer is whoever picked B is right. LED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And fourth one. So if you're wondering how many questions, oh my God, then it's only five, don't worry. This is second last. Which organization runs the Green School program in India? So as educators, for once, I'm calling you all educators. It would be good if you know this. Yes, right answer. No wasting time when people have got the right answer. Some are saying A, sorry, but the right answer is B, Center for Science and Environment, right? And the last one, just a sec. Oops, Okay, yeah. Which Indian state became the first fully organic state in 2016, promoting sustainable agriculture and environmental health? Here are the options. Let me see. Okay. A, B, Kerala, Kerala, A, A, C. Okay, interesting. Since I was waiting for the right option and the right, somebody did say C, it is Sikkim. I also initially guessed it was Kerala, but the right answer is Sikkim. But other states are not very far behind. It's interesting to see. So these are some, not saying, but these represent, not saying just this, but these represent some important statistics or information to be in having as educators to know which one's progressing, which area, which is a ministry that's leading this, which is the initiative that's governing this, right? So thanks, that was wonderful. I know there was mixed of options, but most of you had the right answers. Just want to get that started with the foundations. So what is sustainability? I'm not going to literally ask a question and ask you to type in the chat, but just a glimpse of what we're actually going to learn as foundations. So if you see here on this slide, the word sustainability, let's say this is an English class. We're going to see multiple classes in this 1 hour, but at least for the first slide, we're in an English class where we're understanding and breaking down what sustainability is, right? So clearly, basics, it's sustain plus the ability, as you know. Uh, and I'm not trying to say that literally explain what it means in English, but trying to see that if we're understanding it as a concept, it is easier for us to also follow it, and we'll realize that you don't need big opportunities, you don't need money, you don't need big partnerships, you don't need a great institution to actually follow and adopt sustainability in your lifestyle. If you just understand and see that it is something that all of us can do and need to do in the simplest way possible, you will walk in the direction, right? So sustainability is a concept which comes from the act of sustaining something. So when you're doing something in an English class, or an action in English class is a verb, right? And a concept or a person or a thing is a noun. So when you talk about sustainability, it's a noun, it's a concept. You may understand it, you may not understand it. But when you see it as an act that you need to sustain or make something last longer so that it's useful for further generations or activities, that is when you're seeing it as a verb, right? So you need to be able to do something in a continuous way. I'm not going to literally read what's on the slide, as you can see, but while I'm keeping it and while you're reading it, uh, let's take some examples that you can share, right? Instead of me sharing, I'll take one example. Instead of a plastic bottle, there was one right here, unfortunately. If I am not sustaining it, because a plastic bottle is not going to last long with me as a consumer, but when it ends its life, it's going to take millions of years to deteriorate and decompose. That's not long lasting or good for the environment or good for me also to be using it. But if I'm using a metal bottle, as simple as that, it's sustaining both for its usage because it lasts longer for me. I can use it for years, and it is not harmful to the environment, right? So when you think about, there's a small message here. When you think about sustainability as a concept, chalo, it's sustainability. Yeah, we read it in the books. Yeah, we see movies on Netflix or anywhere related to that. But when you see sustainability as a verb, you need to act on it. Without action, there is no sustainability. Without some changes in your life, without some changes in your habits, changes in your decisions, there is no sustainability, right? So, can you give one example in the chat of uh, what one ways of sustaining some act? It can be in your school, or it could be something you personally follow. Like I took the bottle example, right? But is there any other examples of sustainability that you follow so far? Yes, stop using plastic bags. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry, thank you, student. Having healthy food. Yes, in a way that there's a lot of research that goes into having healthy food behind as to how that is sustainable. But do what is affordable, also do what is simple, uh, and balance it. We're not saying you to do so many big things, but small things done rightly. Okay, which is made out of coconut husk. That's right. Yeah. Please share it because it will be inspiring for others too. Perfect example, Shalu Sharma, which is carpooling, and I hope all of you are able to do that or use public transport, which is good. Keep those examples coming because that way others can learn. But you need to see the perspective of sustainability in words from different missions or from different firms or programs, right? The first one, the UN World Commission on Environment and Development, says sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So I'm not going to read each sentence and make it boring, but the point by showing these different definitions is how each institution has framed sustainability, which almost has the same message, and it actually has some important terms. And it's interesting to see what the difference is between sustainability and sustainable development, right? Sustainability is a concept, it's a noun, but sustainable development is an it's an again if you it's a concept of a verb where you're acting on it. So you're creating a situation where things are developing in simple terms, and the development is in such a way where it's able to meet our needs and the future needs. For example, there is a freshwater issue in many places, right? Where we're not getting groundwater. But when we are only facing that problem already, let's say, how are the future generations going to survive in couple of decades, right? So the development in such a way needs to be sustainable. It is meeting our needs and the future needs as well. So now that I've broken it down a little for you, uh, would anyone like to volunteer by unmuting and sharing the last way of sustainability, which is sustainability to a 10-year-old? So imagine this scenario where a 10-year-old student comes and asks, ma'am or sir, can you explain sustainability to me? I'm seeing it a lot around me. How would you explain it to a 10-year-old that even a 10-year-old understands sustainability in just a couple of lines? Would anyone like to volunteer? And this is not through chat. This is through, I want you to unmute and attempt this. Or I am that 10-year-old. Would anyone like to volunteer and explain sustainability in such a way that a 10-year-old gets convinced? Nobody? I know I'm asking to split personalities to become teachers.
Hello,
Yes.
hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
If you want.
I would like to say that anything which will not hamper the environment in a simple way.
Okay, sir, I understand. So I'm a 10-year-old. So thank you, sir, for trying. But can you take examples of what it means that is not hampering the environment?
Like
Ma'am,
the
like,
same example, carrying plastic bags can be given as an example. If you are not carrying your basket with you, you need to use the plastic bag. There, what is happening that we can give an example for the student or like a child who is of 10.
correct. Got it. So I think that example helps as a 10-year-old. I'm still a 10-year-old, but I have a
So,
question or a doubt, sir. You said hampering the environment. So is it only hampering the environment, and it should it be where it's only hampering the environment? Can I hamper humanity, or can I hamper technology, or is it only the environment, sir?
It should be having multiple branches there. We should broadly say that, but just to say that initiative, I have said that.
Got it, got it. No, thank you so much, Remus, sir,
ma'am,
for
ma'am, I would
attempting
like
that.
to, ma'am, I would like to explain to you, you being a 10-year-old
Okay.
old. So when you are growing up and after when you become old, you will be able to get fresh air. The air is pure, and you will be able to see green park. You will be able to go to a place where you can breathe in fresh air, and at home also you are sound. You have a health. You are healthy. Actually, you remain healthy, and also purity outside. You can see green
Yeah.
all around you. When you go out, you'll feel you will be able to see the green around you. You'll see plants, you'll see trees around you. After, when you grow old, when as you're growing and to the near to your
Yes.
generation, next generation, you will be able to give it up. So that is what is sustainability all about, which I would like to explain to my 10-year-old kids
Got
actually.
it. Thank
Ma'am,
you, Miss
I,
Sanjita.
I
I'm
can say
sorry,
ma'am,
one.
we'll
I'm
have to
from a
close with the
village here in
examples, but we'll
Devpur.
take the last one with Miss Sandhya, and then we'll move on since she's
Ma'am,
yeah.
I'm from a village, Devpur. It's a very small
Okay.
village where the school is built in part of the Darbargarh. And because of the breeze, everybody uses plastic, buys things in plastic bags, eatables and all. So there's a lot of
Right.
plastic bags flying around. So what I try to tell the children is these plastic bags do not, uh, they stay in on the earth for so many years. And pieces, we have so many cows and all these things. They tend to, when they're hungry, they eat, whatever is in the plastic bag. Okay, so pieces of plastic tend to get into their system and tend to kill them, and even it lands up in the seas and
Yeah.
water bodies. All these
Yeah.
things I try to tell them that. So explain that
Right.
it's not good, and even because we use so much plastic, it uh, ends up even in our bloodstream. I try to tell them as
Yes,
much
ma'am.
as possible. Thank you.
Hello,
Thank
ma'am.
you, Sandhya ma'am, for
Uh,
sharing. Sorry,
I,
Vani ma'am. I don't
I
think we
would
have
like
time.
just like to add one sentence to the Sandhya ma'am that like we can
Sure.
just add
Okay.
health is wealth. Like
Right.
everything, whatever that God, nature has given, that all um, is required, essential, and so we should save it. So health
Got
is
it.
wealth. Yeah.
Perfect. In
Thank you,
fact,
ma'am.
I shouldn't have underestimated because usually it's easy to say complicated words like on the screen where you say it's development and needs of the present, the future generations, compromising present generation and all. It's easy to read out from the textbook. Even the NCRT has this point. But how do you actually, condense it for us to understand it and then condense it further for students or even the younger generation to understand because even the 10-year-old to understand because they are the future. And I feel Remat, Vani ma'am, or Sandhya ma'am, and Sanjita ma'am, all of you have had different points to add to the complete concept. I can't say one is the right way to approach because each one had a different perspective to explain to a 10-year-old. And that is very important as teachers or ambassadors for sustainability to be able to decipher and condense it and communicate to the next community, right? So there is this video on sustainability, but I would rather focus on the rest of the topic for today because I don't want to be late and take too much of your time by in case, so that I will save this video for later based on the time and rather talk about the other topics that are new here because there is a way where I could just share this video link in the WhatsApp community or in mail that you can watch also, right? So that way we'll save some time and we'll come back to this based on if you've covered some other subtopics that we have. I hope that is okay with everyone. And I like how you're very interactive. I am enjoying the session as well. It's actually early morning for me here, but you all woke me up with the excitement. So let's go to the next topic about sustainability, under sustainability itself, which is a triple bottom concept. You might have heard this, you might have not, but when you're explaining sustainability, something that you should also know and understand is this. And I will use Rehmat's example that he said, where he was talking about, he used the sentence, we should not hamper the environment, right? And I asked a doubt, which is right. He's absolutely right. I asked a doubt, as a 10-year-old, is it only the environment that we should not hamper? So, with that question in your mind, I would like to explain what triple bottom concept of sustainability is, where there are three parts or three main factors or areas under sustainability that you need to know, which is the basic for anyone, right? That is environmental, economic, and social. You can't be just environmentally sustainable while affecting the economy and the social aspect. You can't be only socially benefiting by affecting the environmental economic. You can't be environmentally and socially benefiting by harming or but harming the economy. No, sustainability goes in these three areas hand in hand. If something is benefiting the environment or not hampering the environment, but is harming or disturbing the economy or affecting the social structure of a place or a community, then it is not sustainable. So all the three need to be maintained or balanced. Yes, you cannot get 100% results in all three, but at least it should not deteriorate or harm all three. That is the most important concept. So if you see on the right hand, on the right side, you will see a part where it explains what all the three factors mean and how they overlap in a Venn diagram, right? Now take one example. Uh, let's take that simple example of not using a plastic bag and using a cloth bag. Is it good for the environment? Yes. Is it economical? Yes. Does it affect the social standards in any way? I don't think so. So can I use it? Yes. But let's say they say organic food is example, right? I don't mean any ill intention to people who are doing this healthy. I'm just using in house. It can also be seen this way. Use only organic food, use only this, and it's great. So if you're getting it directly from the farmer or directly from where it is harvested, and the lesser middleman it has, it's more healthy and organic. Good. But what if it is too expensive that way? Unfortunately, it should not be like that. But the world has become, the business has become such a way, the economy has become such a way where that getting directly, which is how it's supposed to be, has become more expensive, and the more middlemen you have, it's become less expensive. So the more organic it is, the more expensive it is, which is the irony. But that way, it is debatable, right? I want to help the environment by using organic food, but it is also very economical. And is there a social class that is maintained by consuming organic food? You should think about it. I think Miss Sandhya was talking about how she's teaching or comes from that village where she's teaching all this with students. Is organic food, which is expensive, accessible to that? No. But people living in cities, they have access to organic food. So there's a social class unfortunately created, right? So I'm not saying organic food is bad, but I'm just saying that when you take some decisions, you should see that all these are balanced, right? Where the environmental factor, the economic factor, and the social factor, all these need to be balanced. And that is when a decision is optimum or right? Because it's easy to take decisions based on one of these three. But some decisions that maintain all the three is not easy. That has more long-term results when it comes to sustainability. So now let's apply it by this activity here. So I want you all to think of your institution or your workplace or the communities. You come from different cities and states, right? Pick one and let's see one aspect under each area or one example under each area that fulfills sustainability. So let me take an example. If at all it's sounding complicated. So we learned that there are three pillars, right? Social, economic, and environmental. So in the first one, there's social sustainability. So if at all I am talking about one MMB or any office space or IBM or anything, right? How do I make sure that there is social sustainability? By creating a workplace diversity. For example, making sure that women are also there, or making sure that any disabled people also can join my company or join my organization and work with us, right? And there is no discrimination. So that way we are being socially sustainable. How can, now take the same example in your school. How can your school be economically sustainable? And how, one example for environmentally sustainable. You can share it in the chat. It would be nice to think of your institution, give one example of how you can make it economically sustainable, one example of how you can make it environmentally sustainable. It'll be interesting to see your responses. Okay, how attendance is economic sustainability or social sustainability? Just wanting to see. Now I gave an example for social, right? Where if it's your school, then anybody from, regardless of their social standards of like, let's say their class or their creed or their financial status, to a certain extent should be able to join. Now when it comes to economic sustainability, how do you make sure that your school is fulfilling that environmental sustainability is easy to answer, but you have to think about economic sustainability and social sustainability. Yes, students from all walks of life should be able to have access to education, and your school should be providing that. That is when it is socially or economically sustainable, right? Provide scholarship to poor. Yes, thank you, Mr. Suraj. That is one way of creating social and economic sustainability. It's interesting to see how some examples fulfill both, right? Like scholarships, economic green spaces, very good. That covers both environment and economic sustainability. Gender equality, perfect. That covers social sustainability. Recycling papers, environmental sustainability, ensuring electricity and water are not wasted. Environmental sustainability mainly, but also manages the economy of how much the school is spending, right? By balancing the environmental resources well. Perfect. Keep that coming. But I hope you understood how, be it in school or an institution or whatever it is, or even us, when we take some decisions of doing something and not doing sustainability, you need to be fulfilling all three. That is where the foundations are right, and then the results are also better, right? So if you break each, uh, having said that, it focuses on the well-being of environment. This is very easy to understand. Others are also, I'm pretty sure your teachers and you know everything. But take some examples: water quality, air quality, greenhouse gases. Human health depends on environmental sustainability more than social and economical. So this becomes very important first, right? In fact, I was going to ask you this as a question, but I myself shared amongst the three, which comes first. All three are very important, right? Since we saw some examples and the importance of it. But if at all you had to prioritize also, first thing we learned is it should fulfill all three. Second thing, if you had to prioritize, you have to be prioritizing first environmental. Because only when your environment and you are healthy can you think about the economy and the social standards, right? So as simple and basic as that, right? And even I think Miss Vani or someone was adding that health is wealth, right? So it's very important. So we just spoke about the examples of environmental sustainability in education institutions, and you have shared. You have interesting views, please share. I just saw that Fatima had shared that economic sustainability means books, technology, staff, social sustainability, inclusive education. Perfect. Yeah. So you should see that. Oh, when, we want our school to be very have a sustainable concept, but is your school fulfilling economic sustainability and social or only environmental? Right? Think about it. So now let's come to social. So what does social sustainability include? It includes environmental justice, human health. If you break down environmental justice, it means that regardless of where I belong from or what my background is or wherever I am, whoever I am, I should be able to reap the benefits of the right environment. Right? It's not that only that they are in a privileged place to access the benefits of the right environment of, let's say, having access to water, but even I have every right to get access to water from regardless of my standard, right? Social standard. So that is environmental justice as an example. Then human health, resource security, education, all these elements in the society are very important. And there's an example here, an inclusive community for vulnerable people and people with disabilities, access to healthcare and needs. So is your institution or your school or your community or your family or your whatever you follow, is it being inclusive socially also is a question to put across. And economically, if you see here, it overlaps a little with social, but it's specific also in terms of job creation or opportunities. Is it profitable? Yes, it is fulfilling the environment. It is inclusive for all socially. But is it profitable? Is it going to benefit even? Right? Then what's the point? So think about that also when you're planning and taking some decisions, small or big, right? How does it drive the company or how does it drive the school to make sure that more teachers like you are willing to join, but it's there, but based on the pays or income, is it sustaining the families also? So how is the business model of the school completely planned that way where it is economically sustainable, where the school is going to maintain for a long time, the teachers and the administration is going to be getting the right income or other ways, and how it's going to again go into the other layers of the execution of how the school is running. So all these three factors become very important. So before we move on to one category majorly that we could discuss, this is the main foundations of sustainability, sustainable development, and the triple bottom concept of sustainability. Right? That's why if you see sustainability and sustenance, it's not about the noun or the concept of sustainability. Anybody can talk and put definitions, but when you see sustain or sustainability as a verb or an action, it is not easy. And even when you're doing it, you should be following all these three. Right. So with that, I would like to move on to a major or a very, very important topic, which is reducing your plastic footprint. Because compared to all the major problems or the concepts under environment or economy or social, unfortunately, regardless of all these three, plastic has become the biggest problems. So I'm not saying, oh, plastic is not the only problem. There are so many other problems. I agree. But let's take one major problem here to discuss and apply all the things that we've learned and all the things we can learn, and the same concept later you can apply with other problem areas, right? So we saw carbon footprint as a question in the quiz, right? Of how it's the emissions that one or a person or an institution kind of uh, emits or releases into the environment, which harms it. So when it comes to plastic, it's the same. How much plastic are you producing as an individual or as a family or as a school or as a class, right? Let's come to that. Don't ever see anything as a noun. It will only remain as a concept in your mind. Start seeing things as a verb, you will start acting on it, because without action, there are no results. So, like that, plastic pollution is a concept, but what are you doing as a verb, right? So, over 8 million tons of plastic enter the oceans every year. From years, even when I'm a kid, I've been taught plastic is not good. But when we come back home, we open the plastic bottles, we eat in plastic bottles, we carry plastic lunch boxes, everything is plastic around us, right? And now we're in that age enough to know that to say no to this and to say yes to that. So we all need to be reducing this 8 million, especially in a country like
सर
our
लग रहा है
population.
सर थोड़ा
So
फर्क तो पड़ेगा टेक्नोलॉजी नोलॉजी का पर आगे नोलॉजी
okay, I will have to mute from my end.
Rima, you're accidentally muted. You can just unmute yourself and continue.
Got it, got it. Thanks, Swati. Yeah.
Welcome.
So here's a scenario for you to think about, right? I know I said all of you are students and you're being like well-behaved students, and I appreciate it. But I want you to also think of a scenario where, especially if you're from Karnataka or Bangalore. I lived in Bangalore for 4 years, and you know how it is famous for lakes. And I'm pretty sure your own city has its own beautiful natural resources too, like a river or an ocean or a lake. And I'm from Vizag, and if you Visakhapatnam, which is a beautiful coastal area. I don't know if anybody has heard or been to that place. So like that, what do you remember about it? What was the shore like if you go back 20 years, right? All of us are in that age where we're missing our childhood or our youth, or there's nostalgia kicking in. We always want to cherish to that memory that's very important for us. So if you go back 10 years or 20 years or 15 years, how is that place for you, right? How is that water? How is that environment? You might not think about the environment. Maybe you have other different memories about that place. But if you change the perspective with the environment, was it as same as before, right? Absolutely no. 90% of you will be saying no. It's great if things have improved, because yes, there is improvement also in certain places in our country here and there, environmentally, so that should be appreciated as well. But unfortunately 90% is only deteriorating because of our actions, right? So think about that place, of how we could bring in sustainability economically, socially, and environmentally, right? So if you go technical about marine debris, marine is not necessarily ocean life here. Let's apply the same to rivers or leak water ecosystems too, right? So any solid material that is manufactured, processed directly or indirectly, intentionally and unintentionally. I think the biggest term here is intentionally and unintentionally. Like I was saying, right, in childhood, it was unintentional to use plastic. Even now, if you're using plastic, it is intentional because we're all adults. So take that same example, if not plastic, and any other habit that we unintentionally have. Nothing should be unintentional now. This is 2024. It's a post-COVID economy. We know how COVID has brought good things and bad things, how it must have affected our families. Um, but now everything that you do should be intentional for you, for the environment, for the social standard, for the economic standard, right? So I like that term of intentional, unintentionally, because we do that, but that is the most important. Forget whether it's manufactured or direct or indirect in the rest of the words in the definition, but that becomes very important. So likewise, there are many debris that is kind of discarded into the ocean. So with at that point, I would like to pause and test your knowledge. So here we have four different categories of questions. So how long do you think? I'll just read it out for you as you can see. How long do you think each time takes to decompose of all these four items, right? Paper towel, aluminum can, plastic bottle, and a milk carton. So it's just name them as 1, 2, 3. For example, under paper towel, options 1, 2, 3. Aluminum can, 1, 2, 3. Plastic bottle, 1, 2, 3. Milk carton, 1, 2, 3. So if you think it's 2, which is for milk carton 10 years, then just type milk carton 2. So then I will know milk carton 10 years. And I would like to see, okay, plastic, someone already says 3, paper towel 2 to 3 days. Okay. Aluminum can, plastic bottle, let's see what you all think. Because that is something that we all of us use. Paper towel, yes, we do. Milk carton, yeah, we most of them get milk packets. Few of us get the Tetra packs, but most of the time, if I'm not wrong, from childhood, we've all been seeing milk packets only. Aluminum can also. Okay, so what do you think? Okay, good. Plastic bottle 3, everybody's sticking to the milk carton 15 years. Okay, interesting. No guesses for the aluminum can? Aluminum can, someone says 10. Okay, let's see. I will just disclose. Ta-da. Paper towel, 2 to 3 days. I saw that option. Very good. Milk can, 200 to 500. Sorry, aluminum can, 200 to 500 years. Think about it. We're not going to live so many years. Even the next generation is also not going to live so many years, but that is going to live. Plastic bottle, 450 years. Let's not talk about it. We all know it. And we still use plastic bottles. That's the irony. Milk cartons, 5 years. Right? So, but at least it's better than a plastic milk packet. But one advantage of it is economical and it's accessible. But remember, the decision of sustainability is to deciding on sustainability is not easy. You have to make certain sacrifices for the right reasons. But at least switching to a milk carton, which is just 5 years, is better than the milk packet that you get in that plastic square, right? That we all get mostly. But see, I know it costs a little more to get a carton, but if you can manage the affordability of it, please switch to it. But yeah, this is just some other examples of what we do. I know paper towel is only for 2 to 3 days, but why just use a cloth, right? And wash it and use that cloth, wash it, use that cloth, wash it. If you feel this cloth is extremely dirty and needs to be disposed, we take another cloth. But why paper towel? Although it gets decomposed in 2, 3 days, right? It's unnecessary. And again, you just have to spend money on it rather than just use a cloth or a t-shirt that you're not using, right? So I found this very good. In fact, I can't take the credit at all, but this is from the source that we've been sharing, which is the IBM Skills Build. If you're constantly seeing the logo on the left, and we share that resource with you too. Swati is also here, who's a well-renowned trainer that works with 1M1B and along with IBM partnerships that we have. We'll share these links with you where you have all the resources for this, that you could learn from and educate yourself, and maybe even use it in your student community. So there is this the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And when I saw this, it's quite disturbing where, the Pacific Ocean, the deepest ocean in the world, has this nice tourist spot, unfortunately, or not a tourist spot, but something to actually learn about. When we go to a place, it's about, oh, this is like Statue of Liberty, or this is famous to see, it's very nice to see and all. But this is famous or rather infamous, but for the wrong reasons. So this video I have to play because it's quite informative and yet disturbing. So yeah. 1 second. I think I have to enable the sound for this. So just give me 1 second with it. Yeah. Yeah, there it is.
Hi, I'm Kirby Schnorr, and
I
Farm Her is
can
partnering
hear
with
the video.
Nationwide to discuss livestock safety.
The world produces enough plastic each year to build 50 pyramids of Giza. That's over 300.
I'm sorry.
I'm Kirby Schnorr, host of Farm Her, and we're partnering with Nationwide to discuss the dangers of manure.
The world year to build 50 pyramids of Giza. That's over 350 million tons of candy wrappers, PVC pipes, and synthetic t-shirts. While most of it ends up in landfills, 8 million tons of plastic winds up in our oceans each year, where most of it finds its way into massive garbage patches around the world. And the biggest of them all is called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. If you picked up each piece of plastic in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, you'd carry away about 1.8 trillion individual pieces. That's 10 times more plastic pieces than there are stars in our Milky Way galaxy. And it would weigh a whopping 80,000 tons, equivalent to the weight of 3 Statues of Liberty. Half of the entire patch is made of plastic fishing nets, lines, and ropes, which come from intense fishing activity near the area. The other half is mostly hard plastics and films, like water bottles and plastic wrap. But don't let the name Great Pacific Garbage Patch fool you. It doesn't look like a giant mountain of trash at all. It's actually scattered over a region of ocean that's twice the size of Texas, according to some estimates. So if you wanted to pick up every piece of plastic, it would take you 121 days at a walking pace of 5 kilometers per hour to cover the entire area. Though in reality, there's no true end, since the garbage patch is constantly ebbing and flowing with the ocean currents. But let's pretend we could scoop it all up into one place. There'd be enough plastic to fill 100 Boeing 747 planes. And the patch is only getting bigger. It's actually been growing exponentially larger for nearly 70 years. Partly because once the plastic is there, it'll stick around for centuries. Those plastic fishing lines, for example, will take 600 years to break down. And even after they break down, the damage doesn't stop there. Most end up as microplastics that are too small to see with the naked eye, but can make it into the bellies of sea animals, and ultimately, the humans that will eat those animals. Worldwide, researchers have found ingested microplastics in every species of sea turtle, nearly 60% of whale species, and almost 60% of seabirds. Plus, more plastic is pouring into the world's oceans each day. In fact, experts estimate that by the year 2050, the amount of plastic in the oceans will outweigh all the world's fish. Think about that the next time you toss your water bottle in the trash because the recycling's full.
Yes, think about that, and I think about a lot of things in the video. I don't know if you've genuinely watched the video or took it as a break to go do something or get something. But if you were students and you wouldn't want your students to do that, right, in your class, so please don't do that here as well. Like I said, there are efforts that went behind putting this, and it's not to do this for our efforts, but we're here to learn. And if you're passionate about that, you will stick around and understand and involve. It's great how everyone's been involved already. Just a healthy reminder about it. So this, but in fact, in the second half, almost concluding the second half, and there are only 2 halves. Don't worry about it. Um, so here's an example of what they're doing about situations like this, as you've seen in this great this patch, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, as an example of plastic, and taking plastic as an example to understand sustainability and its concept, right? So let's talk about the positives about the ill effects of plastic too. Like I said, there are good things also happening. Let's focus on that as well, because then you know when you're learning the negative things and what's not good, you get awareness. But when you also know what is good and what to do, you know how to act, right? So it's important to show both whenever you're talking also in forward, when you're telling your students, tell both the how it's going to harm, but what are the ways they can do. That is when somebody will progress, right? So here's one example of that, which is the plastic bank that empowers the society. And it's doing a brilliant job by actually stopping ocean plastic, while at the same time, remember, economical and social, it is doing that. And you will see how, because it's not just helping the environment by controlling plastic pollution, but it's brilliantly also taking off economic sustainability and social sustainability. And I will show you how, right? So here's the concept of how it works. I don't know if you've heard of this, but this is actually, this has been started in Vancouver in British Columbia in Canada. And this is the concept. It has now branched out to Colombia, Vietnam, other developing countries where they can fulfill all these factors of sustainability, and this is what it's doing. So people collect plastic just like how they have the money, then they go to this bank, like just like how they keep the money there. They collect plastic, and the collectors receive a money for the amount of plastic they have collected, and they provide to a plastic bank, and in turn the plastic bank takes the plastic and then gives them certain monetary help or money in terms of different ways and resources that can help their families with groceries or cooking or school tuitions and health insurance, right? So the social standard is maintained where the lower economic or anyone who's in need can have access to certain incomes. The economical standards are sustainability is done where they're using the resources in the right way to help people grow economically and the same time brilliantly addressing the biggest menace or a problem in the world, which is plastic, right? And this concept of how plastic given and plastic taken is called so reborn as social plastic, right? Where they're recycling it or reusing it, and it's called social plastic. And I thought that's a brilliant way of terming something, right? Hey, how much social like return? You have the concept of return on investment, but this is like social plastic on investment, right? How much social plastic have you created? If I'm a collector and then I'm contributing to the social plastic, right? That's a very nice concept. If you think about it, it sounds like a small concept, but when you actually have to execute, it's huge. And that's why that company, sorry, that organization or that firm is huge right now, because it's not easy to actually receive resources and give someone resources unless it's well funded or well equipped. But as long as creating a community in that way, it really helps, right? So this is a video of a woman sharing her story about how collecting plastic changed her world. And these are some stories that will actually inspire you. So I will play this video because we do have enough time about what we're going to learn today. And we will be closing it in time, which is the 90-minute mark.
Liz Narcis. She is one of our female collectors. She is one of the best that the plastic bank is touching to her work as a collector.
Moi, c'est Jérémy, moi, j'ai 10 ans dans la capitale, Port-au-Prince. Ma vie, moi, j'ai 7 petites. C'est dans le plastique là, je viens fourrer comme, qu'on a actif mon yo, pour me vivre ensemble avec eux. C'est plastique là qui paye caille, c'est lui-même qui va manger, c'est lui-même qui paye l'école.
She didn't know how to read and write. And as we realized, she was limited in this area. We started a literacy program for collectors who can't read and write. And as we are doing that, the plastic bank is opening her eyes, her intelligence, so she can be able to encourage her kids to continue with school.
Longtemps, dès qu'on a le chèque, c'est quoi me dès qu'on fait? Qu'on y a écrit nom normalement. C'est le programme n'a fait pour moi en pile parce que c'est pas café me faire connaître. On ka li connaître. U A E O I U.
Educated people have a voice in society, a voice to choose their leaders, not emotionally, but with intelligence. Educated people care for their society, care for the environment, and become active collectors to create a better future.
Well, that's a small inspiring story.
Bank, we are gathering people
While
people who didn't have
being
hope
played,
for a future,
actually, you know what?
to recreate the
It's only
future
5 seconds.
we would like to live for our children. Let's gather together for this journey.
Yeah. Did you notice that sentence which said educated people care for the environment? And educated people, how much should educated people in the field of education care for the environment, right? Think about it. Educated people, you'll find many people, but how many educated people are actually in the field of education? Like you and me and others. We should care even more, right? Because we should set examples and actually take it in a community. And that's one story like her, where how plastic bank is changing. And this is not like a session to promote plastic bank. We're literally getting nothing. They don't know us. We don't know them. But this is just to show an example of we've learned the concept, we've seen the problem, let me tell about some initiatives that are working for that concept and problem, right? So that is one brilliant example that's working. That's all, right? So it's time for some activities. And in fact, the next few minutes that we have left, we're only going to do activities and see how much you've learned because you've been listening and learning and participating, which is great. Um, Yes, thank you, Srividya, for sharing that. Yeah, feel free. I like how some of you are sharing your thoughts in the chat. You don't have to wait for a question to be asked. Feel free to share a thought and create a good environment for all to express themselves. Okay, so I was telling in the beginning that you would all need a pen and a paper. So if you, I'm sure you all know how to use Zoom, but you can raise your hands if you all have one. So I know if we'll be actually able to do this. And I think I would rather see if you all have videos on while doing this, if possible. I think now you would have gotten comfortable little to show your faces and interact. Thank you. But if possible, turn your videos on and we'll do this activity together. So while you're turning on the videos on, let me just show you what we're going to do now if you have a pen and a paper. And you know why I'm teaching you this? It's not a big concept, but you can go back and if at all there is a good session that you could do for your students, this is something that you could try. And this works brilliantly well actually in a classroom than a virtual session. But we can try it out here so that you can go try it in your classrooms, okay? So quickly, the sooner we finish this, we can close with the last part, which is the group discussion and end the session, right? So the first one, I want all of you to draw, not write. Draw three things or three items that you use in your daily life which are plastic. It's okay, let's be honest. All of us use, I also use. Don't write pen. Draw a pen. Don't write straw. Draw a straw. Don't write bottle. Draw a bottle. Don't write plastic bag. Draw a plastic bag. Whatever it is. Don't forget, from the time you wake up, the toothbrush you use is also plastic, unfortunately. I hope there are bamboo brushes, which are a little expensive. I still, unfortunately, use a plastic toothbrush, but I've been cutting down another plastic. Hopefully, I will also start buying a bamboo toothbrush soon. You can raise your hands once you finish drawing, and I would love to see if anybody can actually show the paper in the video. It'll be fun for all of us to see. You have just 2 minutes to do that. Draw those three items, and if you've drawn, you can actually show it in the video. Let's see who wants to volunteer and to show their beautiful or ugly drawings in the video. Nobody's going to judge you. Somebody's trying to show, I think, but I can't see it. Okay, a lot of you are trying to show. You know what? I will stop sharing the screen. Let's look at everyone's. I'll open it in a gallery view so that all of us can see. Okay, Sandhya ma'am is showing it. Shankala ma'am is showing it. Shireen Fatima. Good attempt. I can only see Sandhya ma'am's clearly. Shankamalam ma'am, hers, it's a little blurred. Srividya ma'am's also I can see. I think it's a pen and all. Very nice, very nice. Good that you've drawn. I hope others have drawn too.
Not
You're
a
a
very
student,
good drawing.
ma'am.
It's not a very good drawing. I've done it with a
No, it
pen.
doesn't matter. It
But
doesn't matter.
there's a toothbrush, there's a comb that I'm using, and there's a,
Yeah.
a cup that I use to measure things. That's
That's
plastic.
right. That's right. That's right. True. See, good
Makes me
examples of
think.
how we. I know, and that's the point. And remember that unintentional and intentional. This is what I mean when we say that unintentionally we do use. Now, the second step that you need to be doing quickly is, Sandhya. I like Sandhya ma'am's or Sandhya's examples, which is a comb or a container. Most of us would have drawn probably a pen or a plastic bag. Now categorize them. Let's say this was your and in fact, thank you, Vani ma'am, for initiating that. Why don't you, people who could not show it in the video, why don't you type in and see so that it'll help for the next step too for us. Why don't you type in what are the three things you've drawn, right? Others who have not been able to show it on the video. So while they're typing, let me explain the step two that you could be doing with your students or even now. Now it's a little difficult, but the idea is to make students draw 3 to 5 things that they've done on sticky notes like this, right? And then all of them go stick their three categories on the wall. And as they're sticking also, they will like, let's say Sandhya has put a comb and Mr. Bazi has put a pen. And I have a pen and I have lipstick, for example. I will go put lipstick near the comb because some other student has put comb there because it's closest to that. And then I have a pencil, not pencil. Pencil is not plastic, but let's say I have a sharpener that's plastic. I will put the sharpener near the pencil. So each one will go stick one after the other and they will put it in categories which is closest to each other. Right now I see a pen, spoon and a ball. Now ball is not close to a comb that Sandhya drew or it's not close to a pen. So I'll put balls separately. Right, and tiffin box is not close to that, so I'll put it separately. And the next student might have drawn a plastic bag or a spoon. Spoon is close to a tiffin box, right? So they're going to stick the spoon there. So that's how we're going to, one after the other, you are going to draw or stick to the closest thing that the previous person has put based on what you draw. I hope it's clear, right? A hair clip again is close to a comb that Sandhya would have drawn. So Asha Purna is going to, if they were in the same class, she's going to stick her hair clip sticker close to the comb because they're in similar categories. That way, once all the students are done, you will see different categories, like maybe kitchen related things or stationery related things. You'll end up with categorical plastic usage, right? And then you initiate a discussion in your class to see maybe which category is possible to actually address and lower our plastic usage and initiate a discussion in a class that, hey, look, or you will also see when you will view the board or when you view the chart or the area or the wall that you're going to do this activity on, you will notice as they are stuck in different categories, you will observe which area has the most number of stickers because that means that area has the most amount of plastic elements, right? Or plastic items. So that way you will see that here we're using a lot of plastic looks like in stationery compared to kitchen related things or recreational things. So how about we do something about it, especially because we're a school or especially because we're in the institute. So maybe you can initiate something in a class and discuss a discussion of how these categories can be reduced or maintained or balanced. We all need a pen, but how do you make sure that you're using the same pen till it's done? Something like that, right? So you can initiate such discussion. This was a tiny activity, not just for you to try, but for you to like see and if you can adopt in between in your classes anywhere. Okay. So with that, I will move on to the last item in our session before we close. And this is for you. And I have nothing to talk, but I have only things for you to talk. So we'll move into a group discussion where all of you would like to, I'm hoping all of you would like to share. But while you're prepping up on this, let me first show the group discussion topic and then show you some examples. So the group discussion topic for today is what are some ways to reduce the environmental impact of schools, like in different areas, for example, in waste management or energy efficiency or any other things, like think about the economical factors or the social factors. But I just used two examples here, which is waste management and energy. What are some ways, practical ways? Think of it as a verb, right, to reduce environmental impact of schools. So now that I've shared the group discussion, I will open it in a couple of minutes for all of you to just talk to each other and share your opinions. But while you're thinking, let me just share some examples that are existing already that maybe you can apply to your school. Right? So, what are some current classroom practices in the field of education and sustainability? So, quickly, there's one we all know where it comes to, you must have heard of the ATL Labs, right? An initiative by NITI Aayog, how it initiates to develop innovation and solutions that can also cater to environmental problems, right? So a lot of schools are adopting this, and all the schools, government schools have this. So it's good how initiation is taking place. Second, some schools, regardless of government or not, have environmental clubs. So these are some ways where the students can develop a community or a mindset of actually acting on some sustainable related problems, and it encourages a culture of sustainability. So that is important and helpful, right? So maybe you can be the teacher who's starting an environmental club in your school. Now, if you escalate it further, like there's a club in a class or a school or for a section, but if you look at the school overall, right? While I'm talking about this, if you see on the right in the picture, you will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think 8 or 7 categories of what all they are checking in a school for it to receive a green school certificate. So how about you also apply such a way where your school is fulfilling that criteria of getting a green school certificate? It's not just about best school, best placements and all, but how about, we also make sure that your school is certified when it comes to a green school, right? And you should think about it if your school is going to fulfill it. It has nothing to do with uh, how much money your school has or your your the city has or how big your city or village is. I have seen, as a social worker, I have interned with some institutions which have schools even in villages and suburbs that have better environmental standards than the schools in the cities. So it has nothing to do with the economical zone of where the school is placed. And last example is a brilliant one. Sustainable infrastructure also is very important in schools, right? So while I'm explaining it on the right, if you see, this is actually a school in Thailand, which has all these factors. It has reservoir, it has secondary buildings to support, it has rainwater harvesting, solar panels, electric power is renewable, hydroponics farm, and filtered and pumps. So in its own way, it is creating its own sustainable environment in the school, which where everything is reused, renewed, recycled, and the carbon footprint of that school is also very less. Yes, it needs some money, it needs some branding, and it needs some administration. But just using an example in an ideal scenario, right? So these are some examples that are really existing. So in the next 5 minutes, the session is for 90 minutes as promised or as communicated. So we will be closing by 7:30. So in the next 5 minutes, we have the group discussion open. So it'll be nice, just one quick disclaimer. It'll be nice if everybody is talking. So if you don't have to take away everyone's time by repeating the same point, or if you conveyed one point, then it's good to give others an opportunity unless you have something very important to add on to what the other person is saying. And second point is, you're not sharing this to me. You as students, you're discussing with each other. So you share, and it will be good if you have any practical ways that are actually implemented in your school, which is closest example to see that you can introduce or educate others with, right? So with that, we are open to a group discussion to share any ideas and thoughts here. I see that some of you have already shared in the chat, but if anybody wants to unmute and speak as well, please feel free to.
Good evening, everyone. Shall I?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Ma'am, we can have a power cut way. That is 1 hour, the peak time of the school. We can switch off all the fans as well as lights to an extent possible. Everybody doing it together in the same time. It works a lot. We have experimented it in our school in
Oh,
Kerala.
wow, that's interesting, ma'am, because on Earth Day, I think, right? On April, it's Earth Day, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if it happened. Yeah, we do that all over the world or India, where we switch off
On
lights for a few
yes,
minutes.
yes.
This is,
This is in the school
yes.
in part of
Yeah, yeah,
energy
this is even
conservation week.
better because I
Yes.
haven't heard a school particularly doing this, and that's a very nice idea that the school is adopting. Oh, it looks like some other schools are also doing it in the chat. Thanks, Revatya ma'am, for opening the discussion and
Thank
sharing
you.
the idea.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Anyone else?
Good
Yeah, good
evening, ma'am.
evening.
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Please
Ma'am,
proceed.
I'm the in charge of robotics lab, ma'am. Actually, in our school, what I'm doing is there is we are collecting the ideas from the students that they are looking around the problems in the school, like our water coolers having the wastage of water every day. So, what the students suggested with that thing is one is a clean water, checking the water level. Sorry, that thing, and storing the water, like harvesting kind of things. These kind of projects, so that the students come up with ideas, looking into the problems, the impact will be created in the students.
Right, right. I was very
Okay.
curious because you're even in the field of robotics, how this field would be contributing. But that's brilliant,
Yes.
ma'am. And in fact, you have a lot of potential in the field of robotics. We'll focus that in the second session, how tech and sustainability can go hand in hand in the education field, and I'm sure you'll have a lot to contribute there. But thank you for sharing
Yeah, thank
your experience
Yeah,
and
good evening,
initiatives.
everyone. Good evening, myself, Lakshmi. Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm from Delhi Public School, Bangalore North. Ours is a sustainable and inclusive school, so we have a lot of practices going on. One thing is one small example our children have done of grade 7 and 8. They have kept the carton boxes in our bus yard so that the children, while going, they will just throw the wrappers, everything around in the bus yard and get in. So they have kept the carton boxes in between the buses where they have parked, so that
Yeah.
it will just maintain a clean environment. So then another practice what they are doing is they went and like they reduce for the water consumption, they reduce the flow rate of the taps in the washrooms for each, even for smaller kids particularly. What they will do, they will just leave the tap open and wash their hands and all.
Yeah.
So they reduce the flow rate so that it will reduce the water consumption. And then other activities like recycling the plastic bottles for planting small plants in the classrooms, everything. So there are some activities going on with smaller children, so we are working with that.
Wonderful. Wonderful, ma'am. You
Thank you.
didn't have just one, but looks like your school is adopting so many.
Evening.
And hope that was
Diksha this
inspiring.
side,
Yes,
ma'am.
Diksha. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm from GPS School at Bhopal. What we have done in our school is our students, we did an activity and and done the eco breaks with the plastic bottle, filling it with the plastic bags inside it, and then with those plastic eco breaks, a bench was made in a public park near our school.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Collecting plastic to make bricks itself is a nice concept, and a
Yes, yes,
bench
yes.
uh,
The plastic
set up in a
bottle, like
park.
Biscuit bottle.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was,
yeah. I know, I know.
the plastic bags were filled inside it to make it hard rock solid. And then those, as a eco bricks, they were used to create a bench in the park.
Super, super. In fact, that bench is not that it's an advantage if it's outside in the school because others can also see, the community can also see, the public can see and get inspired from it. That's amazing.
Yes, yes.
Great. Yes, go ahead, share any ideas. If not existing, you can suggest or advise an idea to be done. Or you can put questions forward of, hey, how do we do this? It's a group discussion. So yes, Sarvana, you have your hand raised in case you want to share. Interesting to see
Good
some
evening,
answers in the
ma'am.
chat too. Yes, go ahead.
Ma'am, Mrs. Madhu Prakash from Kumarpatam Aditya Birla Public School. It's in Karnataka. And we have like zero plastic free zone. Like nowhere, even in the companies or in the colonies or in the school, nobody should bring the plastic bottles or lunch bags, even the chocolates, chocolate wrappers, they will throw here and there. So we have banned all this. And one more, we have a club called Eco Freaks. And every often they will give the special assembly. They will be giving the badges for like they'll ask the question. There'll be some kit and all regarding the sustainable development. And the best student, whoever it might be from the first standard to 12, they will be giving the badges and they will prepare by themselves. Like so we have, and moreover,
Wonderful.
in every like our school, many trees and all. The students have kept the nest prepared by themselves, best out of waste for the birds, bird feeder
Oh,
kind, bird
yeah,
feeder.
yeah.
The plastic bottles and all, they'll keep the grains in that, and the bird, like the plastic spoons, they'll keep for the birds so that they can pick up for the food.
Wonderful. So many. In fact, my favorite is the first one out of all you shared, Miss Madhu, which is um, how they're not allowed or discouraged to bring plastic lunch or bottles. You know why? That's my favorite, everyone. That is, it starts with those basics. It's easy to say that, hey, let's plant a pot. It's good for the environment. But those basics things that is habitual in our family, in our culture, in our system, that is hard to break because it's hard for them to go convince their moms that, Mummy, they said not to use these, let me do this, and the mom will get upset and all. So it's you have to break those habits that from that are going for generations, right? And that will create a long term. Imagine 50 students or 500 students not getting plastic lunch boxes. That is big, right? So think about such ways too. So thank you, Madhu Prakash, for sharing that. Yes, Shobana.
Ma'am, I am from Hyderabad.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I being a class one teacher, I insist my children and explain them that they should not use plastic tiffin boxes. I insist everyone to carry steel tiffin box. So
Yeah.
they are doing it. They're doing it. More the bottles glass for us. I'm really happy about what I learning.
Thank you, ma'am. I think we lost the last 5 seconds because of the internet, I think. But completely got how you're encouraging steel boxes and you're from Hyderabad. So thank you. I think we had enough shares in the chat as well and in person, yeah, and verbally by unmuting. So I will close the group discussion here. But please continue sharing things that you do in the chat as well. I feel like screenshotting this and sharing with my team the brilliant work that all of you are doing. In fact, I will see how I can save the chat and then collate all these ideas and some suggestions because they're not ideas, they're actually actions that all of you are doing. So this will inspire all of us to be doing that. And I hope it is inspiring each other also. With that, since it's 7:30, I will close the session now. So remember, I said that all of you are students, not just today, but for the next 3 sessions, and hoping you will be committed to the next 3 sessions. Keep your place in the shoes of you know how it is to be a teacher and a student because all of us were once students. So please stay committed to the sessions, and I hope you enjoyed the session and learned few new things or were reminded and emphasized about old things. That is also a good win. So we have home assignments for each day, as Safin also mentioned in the beginning. But here's the complete information about it. We have day one, which is today, and we've completed it successfully and hope it was good. I enjoyed interacting. Yes, I would like to have some videos on too, which will make it nice for me, but it's okay, and I understand that. But day two, we're going to focus on the next part of sustainability and tech in education. So be prepared because we've already shared what the topic is. It'll be nice to educate yourself if you have time. So here's what we're going to do with the home assignment. Since we have a week in between, and after that, we'll be meeting on 5th and 7th of November, you will be working on the home assignment together for day one and day two's home assignment, which we'll be sharing both together at the end of tomorrow. And we will tell you how to be doing it, where to be doing it, and filling it and actually submitting it. And then we will review it midway and then talk about the results and some good presentations and home assignments when we meet on 5th, which is day three, right? So for day one, actually, the assignment is to research sustainability initiatives in local schools or communities to share on day two, right? And if it is your own, you can. Uh, and if it's something that you've seen from the internet, is also fine. And if you have some pictures of what you do in your school and put it together on a Word doc, just to briefly explain what it is in a point-wise manner, however, it'll be good. But you don't have to do it by tomorrow. If you want to do it by tomorrow, you're welcome. If you want to maintain the time and manage it well, or including day one and day two, we are giving a week in between to do these two home assignments to submit by a certain date, which will be communicated tomorrow. And we'll tell you how and when to do it. So it's completely your call, but officially, you have to do it after both the assignments of today and tomorrow in that week in between, starting from the weekend, right? Before we meet again on 5th November for the day three, right? So feel free to ask any questions or doubts here. And with this, we end the session. I just have one more point to share where well, I want to underline on this point where we want all of you to continue to stay committed to the session and only on doing the home assignments you be receiving the certificates because anybody can join from anywhere, not even listen and get the certificate, but we want it to be a learning experience and an action experience. It's not a noun or a concept, it's a verb where you need to act on, which means you need to act on the home assignment as well. These will be documented well and even be shared throughout our partners and with everywhere and where your school can get recognized also. But only on submitting the home assignments will you be receiving the certificates of this free course to be participating and joining it. So further details of the assignment to be given tomorrow together for day one and day two. So with this, we officially end the session. But if you have any questions, I will keep it open for 1 minute and we can close by 7:35 sharp. If no questions, yes, Miss Sanjay, can the assignment be based on our school? Yes, it can be. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. It was wonderful having this. You started my day well, and hope it was a good learning experience. And I learned a lot from the examples you've shared, not only in the group discussion, but even in between when you were asked some questions. So see you in the next session. Looks like there are no questions. I'll be meeting you tomorrow anyway, same time. Miss Madhu, today's
I'm
assignment
sorry.
is, but you
Way
don't
to
need
share
to.
the assignment. Sorry to.
No, that's fine. Like I was explaining, today's assignment for day one is this, but you don't need to be doing it today unless you want to go ahead and work on it. But day one and day two's assignment, tomorrow I'll be giving day two's assignment, both together. I will tell you the details tomorrow, where to submit and how to submit.
Okay, ma'am.
And
Thank
then
you.
you will know what to do. I'm just
Thank
sharing
you, ma'am.
this
It was
for today, just so that in
okay.
case you want to get an idea on what to work on. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so
Thank
much. It was a wonderful session.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. My
Thanks,
pleasure.
ma'am.
Thank you. See you all tomorrow.
Thank you. Wonderful session, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Srividya. Good day. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Thank you,
night.
ma'am.
Yeah, someone
Thank
had
you.
asked in the chat, do we need to share a photo or can we explain? Yes, we would appreciate if you share a photo because these are all real examples. So it'll be nice to have a visual representation as well.
Ma'am, what about the attendance link?
This is not attendance link for today, ma'am. We'll be sharing the
Okay.
all the links for we'll consider the home assignment submissions as the attendance and the certification.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.